Let me show you this 32.67 kilometer. We have a breakthrough. Okay, there you go. You can see it. Let's follow it first. We'll follow it all the way down. So you've got this work that's being done right next to it. It goes through here. It goes through there. There's lots of other stuff to look at, but I gotta stay true to my course and get to the end so I can show you this red part right here. Is that the end? There might be more. There we go. There's more. There's more of that. 32 kilometers long, and all along you have this reptilian pattern in the rocks. I used to think it was a natural form of erosion and weathering, but not anymore, my friends. Not anymore. I'm pretty much convinced. Okay, it stops right about here. Now let's go in here and take a look at what you have on both sides. If you get in here and take a look on both sides, you have this work. Hello, everyone. What I'd like to do is first just talk about the activity you're looking at. It looks like there was water involved. Why were these little shapes created out of all the stones in the bedrock? Well, it seems like we have parallel lines with, I'm going to say 45-degree cross-hatching all over the world. That's the ancient megalithic terraforming. And this is one of my favorite examples at this time. It's not the Richat structure. This is the Tibesti Mountains. Now, this whole area has been worked, and you can see it going up into the hills, all these parallel lines. This is the thing I wanted to show you. Now, yesterday and the past week, I've been showing you these lines, these parallel lines. Now, there's no cross-hatching here, but it goes through. There's more parallel lines here that come through. They're kind of hard to see here. But what I showed you is that it actually comes out to the nose of the... This is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. His nose isn't red, but it's got a big line going through it that goes through everything. Check this out. There's actually another one right next to it, another mound with a line through it. Are these mounds artificially created? You can see the Eye of Africa here. This is a secondary item. That is what some people call a tumuli or tumulus. This is in the Richat Adrar Plateau. And everybody knows the Richat is the newest proposed location of Atlantis, although it's the closest one, unless you're going to do something like say it was in the Black Sea. So yeah, we've got a pair of eyes right there, don't we? And those eyes were mounds. And I'll go north-south just so you don't get tricked. That's north-south. It does seem to have an angle that's familiar, like 45-degree angle, but I just wonder what the heck is going on here with these mounds. And I think it's close enough I can actually visit that place. I'd like to show a few things that I found last night. Luckily, I saved them like this in my page. For example, this is the one I'm just showing you. I mean, I'm looking at this. Now, let's go to the next one. This is the whole line. It's 32 kilometers long. But over here at the right side, I took a close-up. On both sides, you've got this worked plateau. And if it looks reptilian, it looks like it has scales. And to me, that means worked now. I used to think that meant natural, but now it seems like everything's worked. It's driving me crazy. I mean, when you see, okay, this is obviously, and I can zoom in here, luckily. You can see, obviously, this is in the middle of the Richat structure. They quarried that. Okay, this one, okay, it's actually, why is it showing a close-up? I gotta go back out. I thought it was gonna go back. Now this, okay, I would say this is natural. I wrote here, to me, this looks natural. You know, you do have a erosion, weathering, separation, some straight lines. But there's nothing unique about those scales or the way the rocks, the big, huge mega breccia is breaking up. But then when you see stuff like this, and you see stuff like this, you definitely can't say it's natural. This is on top of Manhattan. I'll try to show you. Look at this. This is like a work of art. It's so beautiful. These stones are aligned like this. Well, you know, I went through the desert just south of the Richat, and all I can find are these parallel lines with a 45 angle crosshatch. Let's zoom into that so I can explain my thesis about their quarrying. I'd like to, I can't go any closer. I'd like to really look. I mean, you've got, they're not parallel. They're lines that are next to each other and they're straight, but sometimes they don't stay parallel. But they're pretty close. I mean, I want to focus on that. But what you have on almost every few is this 45-degree angle. So again, the title of this video is called Parallel Lines with 45-Degree Crosshatching All Over, not even Africa alone, right? I'm reading, we have to fight what we actually have been taught sometimes. And it's so true. And the trolls, they come at you so hard. The bullies, they're so used to bullying you back into your corner. Back into your corner. You're crazy. Okay, this is Satellite Pro. I think it's a little clearer. Okay, so I showed these lines here. I thought that this was a lot. When you look at, okay, let's go there in Google Earth first. I'll go here, I guess. Let's go back out and find our place in the Richat structure. I'll face it north, but not for long. And then look at this thing right here. I'm beginning to believe is all artificial. And one of the things, I don't know, maybe not. I don't want to say anything too crazy. But when you get into what Delia called Manhattan, you can go over this and look and see exactly what I'm talking about. Parallel lines with cross-hatching going through it. It's just so worked. I used to think this was erosion, but I don't think that God or nature works this way when you have parallel lines and then a 45-degree cross-hatching everywhere you look. That 45 degrees is like in carpentry, it helps strengthen the wood wall, but this, I believe, are, they're not canals. They're not canals anymore. I mean, that is right there, 70,000 yards. Let's go to miles for now. 40 miles long, and I drove past that. I remember driving past that and saying, gee, that's far. And gee, there are no roads to go there. I was on this roadway up here. A little more natural when you get closer. Not really. Now let's go in here and take a look at this seawall. And I want to show you. I showed this for a moment. But when you get really close, the working is incredible. And I used Satellite Pro to look at some of this. Let's start here. Whoops. And see the lines that have been worked. I mean, I got to get in and make a starting point, but you can start to see it here. These lines are thousands and thousands of lines. By the way, this can't be rotated, so it's always north. But you have to remember where we are. That's the seawall, and I do believe that's a shoreline to an extent. I believe water was in here. Because of a lot of things. Shorelines over here and escape routes for water over there. I mean, everywhere I look, I'm seeing stuff that looks like it's man-made. When I say man-made, please remember I'm almost a fan of the giants theory, because I can't imagine any men doing this immense work, unless they were forced to do it using slave. I mean, okay, I'm not getting anything there. But you can see these lines going across these larger parallel lines. Now, you don't see a lot of 45-degree angle. I can't turn it. It's so frustrating. And also, Satellite Pro zooms in and out a little too fast. The lines here are, there's another one, 45-degree, 45-degree. Yeah, sometimes they're not perfect, but there's some type of a relief that's happening where they can't just go parallel. They want to have that crosshatch. Again, parallel lines with... Okay, I'll show you where this same thing happens everywhere. You see these squares being quarried. Now, this line at this point looks like it's for water, but over here it looks like they quarried this whole area. Maybe they're trying to make it habitable for agriculture. Okay, this is in the Adrar Plateau, which is really the Richat structure. So I walked here, I went to this spot right there, and right over here there's some crazy lines going through. So this is the highest point in the drawer. I believe that this stuff here was maybe pushed on top of it in a flood. I can't really get into it. I'm pretty much almost finished with this material. I'm almost ready. I got to turn on the air conditioning. It's just too hot. But this is one of my favorite ones. And what we're seeing is some type of ancient quarrying. What you see all over, and if you want to visit a couple, that's Tibesti. Check this out. Check that out. That's the thumbnail. And when you zoom out of the Tibesti Mountains in northern Chad and go back to Mauritania, we can still find the same type of weird working over here, or everywhere really, but I was showing it here just now. I wanted to show what I found over here that was so similar. If you zoom in and come into about here, is it? There's so many places. And I can turn that around so people can see what we're looking at. It's basically a quarry yard, but they're doing some type of a decorative lines with it, or they're just they continuously. I mean, what I'm seeing here is a piece of art, and it's representative of so many things. And what you have are parallel lines and 45-degree cross hatching. That's the name of this video. Let me keep going here. I wanted to talk about other places in the Richat. And you look around here and you can see these straight lines. I used to think that was natural, but now I'm thoroughly convinced it's not natural. And Randall Carlson, it's right here. This megabreccia, these outcrops that I'm showing you, were being quarried by somebody hundreds of thousands of years ago. I mean, in my opinion, he didn't just pull that out of his ass. He got it from a research paper. I read this research paper here, this one. I didn't see that information. Maybe I need to read it one more time. There's so many of them, it would have taken hundreds of thousands of years. I used to think it was natural, but now it's very clear to me that content was removed, making parallel lines. Okay, so there was a few that are inside the Richat circles, and so I wanted to make sure to show those to you so you can check them out. See these dark patches? Now, it's so funny because I went here. I drove here. I wanted to see what this was, and I took pictures of it. And it was 20 miles out of my way just to get here, and I was heartbroken when I realized it was what I call modern day structure. Is not anything related to Atlantis. In fact, I do believe this whole area, and I'm talking about this whole area, is not only natural, it's just not easy to make these rings go that wide. I mean, if somebody could do that, they were magicians. So I really believe that this was a natural structure, probably created by an a Carrington event. But so I went here. Oh, over here. I went here, and I was so close. Where are we? I went here, and it was so close to this quarry. I'm so sad that I didn't go to the quarry. These quarries are everywhere. I mean, not everywhere, especially inside. They're very special places. There's that one I put in the Was This Atlantis. Well, and I say Was This Atlantis, I'm talking about the page in Facebook. I mean, there's just too much, and it's just amazing how are we seeing like the rocks are gone, the stones and the rocks are gone, or was this place worked and it just they didn't have that many rocks here? Maybe it's a matter of distance, but look at those lines. All those lines now, I believe, are. I used to think they were animal trails. I used to think, but what do you see? Parallel lines. I wouldn't call that 45 degrees, but cross hatching. Parallel lines with cross hatching. Parallel lines with cross hatching. That's the name of this video. I know that I'm on the fringe of alternative thinking here, but I also like to use and rely on Occam's razor. And I've been there. They're not buildings. I've not been here. I haven't been here. They do look like buildings. They look like cities. They look like cities. But I have to rely on the evidence that I have, and I don't have evidence. And if you go here and look at this, you can say the same thing. That these were roads and they were foundations of buildings. I even have one. Okay, now we're looking at this place that I just showed you right here. In fact, the place is right over here. I turned it around and we could probably find it right here. I mean, when you go into this area, it does look like streets, but I'm looking at the lines. We're seeing straight parallel lines and cross-hatching. And, you know, is that a melted building? And to me, I would not think that these were... If they were foundations, then somebody worked this after the cross-hatching that seems to be going everywhere. 45 degrees, 45. That might not be 45 degrees, but also remember, sometimes Google Earth is a little bit off. And sometimes they have to conform around certain things. Or I assumed it was mining. So if this was for water, I don't think this is for water. This is quarrying right here. But you get back over here, I think maybe they were doing a grid so the water would spread out more evenly across the land. And Anthony, Zero Control, you're the one who got me thinking more about water. And then the Tibesti Mountains. Where are those again? Let's go to the Tibesti Mountains. I was looking at the Tibesti Mountains again, and there was stuff everywhere. I was finding stuff everywhere, and I just couldn't stop. And I was realizing, yeah, it's been worked, man. It's been worked. When you go in here, I saw this, but what I didn't realize is that it's been worked everywhere. There's some stuff way up here in the Tibesti Mountain. You can just zoom in and find stuff. You can just zoom in and find parallel lines with 45-degree cross-hatching. Or sometimes it's not 45. Look over here. I put that in. I'm pretty sure that's been worked. And especially when you get up and look at the way the mountains are shaped. They look like they've been hacked away or cut at. Look at that. There's a ridge, right? Oh, that's kind of a sand dune. There's a ridge. The 45-degree angles. Let me get out of here so I can see it. I turned it around. Oh, it's over here. Yeah, because I was finding a bunch of stuff up here, and it's like you just have to look. But the work that has been done in here, I'm pretty sure that's for water. Obviously, they're all connected to rivers. And it seems like they're trying to control the water that came off the mountains and expand out. In addition to the water thing, I think that this thing was like they flooded it over here somewhere. I think it was over here. It's just like they were trying to expand it farther down away from the mountain. Look at that. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. This is, again, this is north-south. So when you see a line like that, going exactly, look at it, I put it in the corner, right? I'm putting in the corner, and this are the same. That's 45 degrees. I mean, there's a lot of angles that are not 45 degrees. I can see 30, I can see 45. And these are all not north-south. I mean, this whole river is 45 degrees. Is that a river man-made? Okay, maybe it's the degrees here are bigger than here, so maybe it's not exactly 45. I don't think they were good. They were trying to get precise about it. Okay, the reason why I pointed that out is because then when we go back here, we really see how worked it is. I'm going to go to satellites.pro so we can get in there because I think it's a little clearer. And look at the work that's been done. on top of Manhattan. I can't rotate this, or I would rotate it. So you're seeing parallel lines, you're seeing 45-degree cross-hatching. There should be a cheap, easy way, but it seems like it's being suppressed by mainstream history, politics, madness. Oh yeah, there was a couple of that river I showed already. The 32 kilometer, mile long cut through with all that work done. It's like everywhere around here. When you go down to here, let me see if I can find it without. When you go down to here, it's all got all sorts of stuff right here, especially all sorts of stuff. It's hard for me to. I don't want to try to find it this way. I almost think it was Atlantis less when I see some of this stuff, and like I said, this stuff's been worked for hundreds of thousands of years. That's according to science. Let me show you this 32.67 kilometer. We have a breakthrough rock here, here, right there, here, over here, and especially right there. Now, I should have gone right there first. Let's do it now. Well, I guess it's not like it's a secret. Okay, there you go. You can see it. Let's follow it first. We'll follow it all the way down. So you've got this work that's being done right next to it, all along this quarry line. I mean, I don't know is that a river, or is that? It's a river now, but was it originally a river? It goes through here. It goes through there. There's lots of other stuff to look at it, but I got to stay true to my course and get to the end so I can show you this red part right here. Is that the end? There might be more. There we go. There's more. There's more of that. 32 kilometers long, and all along you have this reptilian pattern in the rocks. I used to think it was a natural form of erosion and weathering, but not anymore, my friends. Not anymore. I'm pretty much convinced. Okay, it stops right about here. Now let's go in here and take a look at what you have on both sides. If you get in here and take a look, on both sides you have this working. I mean, these lines here that's like worked. People walking, animals walking. I used to think these lines were formed from animals, but now I think they were formed from intelligent beings doing some kind of a work. That's megabrecha. This is megabrecha right here. Is it an outcrop? No, I don't think it's an outcrop, because an outcrop implies that it's sticking up through the sand and the soil. Look at that line. What happened there that made it so prominent? Some type of a thing is going on. Now, because I know where it is, I want to look at this one more time in satellites.pro. There we are. Yeah, that's it. I recognize that now. So let's find this on satellites.pro. It's right below this lake. There's a lake there. Look at that. So right below that lake, which is, let me stop right about here, and then I can find it over here. All right. Is that the lake? It's right here. That's the lake. And that's the line right there. So now we can see this up close. And I don't know, I think Satellite.pro is a little clearer, but it has ads all over the place. You can't rotate it. That's as close as I can get. This one I definitely want to keep looking at. If you look at this Manhattan Plateau, and the Bronx is right next door. By the way, another thing, I'm not sure if I didn't say enough. These lines go on into the plateau here. You can see them. Some of them continue quite a long distance. Yep, and if you want to look around by yourself, just go to my facebook.com/wasthisatlantis to find these locations that I've been talking about. Y'all have a good day. Thank you so much for joining me.